And a big missed opportunity there for Crosby.
So 2 waves ridden, 1.5 for Pittar, a 1 for Crosby Colapinto. But I like that we had a quick start. Means priority is set. Crosby's out the back in red. We're back, we're live. This is the Surf City El Salvador Pro. Chris Cote here with Jesse Mendez. We are watching G.Pittar starting strong. Just about a minute and a half into this heat, and he's way down the line. That wave is running away from him as fast as it can. He pulls out.
And you can see the difference that I mentioned, that this is going to be a difference that Ethan will have today on top of a bunch of the opponents. Look how chattery that wave gets and how the nose of the boards of the surfers are like going up and down all the time. And you're going to see the wave behind. The same thing happened to Crosby. Kind of went up in a weird angle, and that's a gem of a wave. Probably one of the best waves we've seen it so far. That wave peeled all the way through down the point.
He's compared himself to Crosby for a long time. They're around the same age. And you know, they do have a similarity. I think they have pretty similar styles. Crosby now, quick stall fade to start this wave into the bottom turn. There's the big hack to start. This wave is running so fast. Solid turn right there. Regains composure and control, comes around the section. There's just so much happening on every wave ridden. You see the movement, you watch his feet, watch his board.
It doesn't really matter for this moment of the heat so far. It's a beautiful first open up carve. Look how much wobble there is on that wave, a lot of chatter. Second one a little bit tighter. He gets up in vertical and then he carves through, and that's when he loses that inside rail. But regroups pretty well. Cleans up. Wave is very hard to read right there. So much going on. And finish it off with a nice lip line. Pushing just enough of that back foot. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first carve where it's kind of like a beautiful power carve, but just to set up and make sure he's in a good timing for this next one. You can see he has to high line, and then he goes up the bottom, but goes more vertical on this carve. You can see he stomps on that back foot in the beginning. Almost felt like he was, you know, like similarity to the bottom turning for a snap, but then he carves through it, which the judges will take notice of that. So it makes the turn looks bigger.
Everything he can to just maintain control. Meanwhile, G.Pittar, smaller wave, but equally as chattery on the face of that one.
Yeah, that's good surfing from Crosby. He had a wobble after that second carve, if I'm not mistaken, but he was able to regroup and put in some good work.
Power surfing to cut through the face of the wave right now with all the bumps coming up through it.
Yeah, and sensibility as well. That's very nice from George. We missed that on the back as we were seeing Crosby wave. Good surfing from him, a bit more aggressive. But I got to give the edge for Crosby on this first exchange. I feel like there's more damage done, more power.
You know, that routine, I think every surfer on the championship tour has a little bit of, you know,
that's a down the point half
luck factor.
I was like excited for that wave because he kind of swinged it halfway through it. You could see that wave was stacking up, but just a little bit too fast.
Insight from Joe Turpel, and now we're looking at outsight as Crosby Colapinto streaking down the line. A couple big turns on the outside section. Nice carve there, staying right in the pocket to maximize the power of this wave. Speed control, crucial today. I mean, you're going to have to use every bit of your energy to just try to keep up with these waves as Crosby lines things up, blasts that end section. The perfect maneuver choice for the end of that wave, and he knew that score was building as it went down the line.
Obviously, if there's two surfers that are very similar, would be those two guys in the water right now. That would be more even, but this is beautiful surfing, just textbook. Perfect reading on the wave, applying rail, keeping the speed, flow. Nothing so crazy critical, but just very well surfed wave, very well put together. And an exclamation point to finish it up. Like you mentioned, it felt like he was like in urgency for an air right there, but just pushed that back foot, gets a nice layback into kind of a foamy, very tricky section to hit. So
yeah, his heart was telling him air, but his brain said layback snap.
And that's I guess it's the perfect example of being in the moment, like being present. You know, like obviously your heart wants to do crazy things, and you just gotta kind of remind yourself, hey, stick to what it's needed to be done right now.
Yeah,
and if the opportunity comes later, maybe I'll do an air, but that's not the situation in the moment.
I'm at work, not at play. So 21 to go. Crosby's score for that last wave comes through, a 6.17. Pretty solid lead for now. G.Pittar needs a 7.17. That would be the best wave of this heat.
And we're going to get to see kind of a good battle of the rail, I feel like, and power. So it's going to be a fun one to finish out. Crosby's got the advantage at the moment, but we'll see what happens right here. Pittar looking at it.
G.Pittar on a perfect looking wall. Good snap to start, right in the pocket. Big Ethan Ewing-esque hook on his forehand. Comes around the section again. Just placing his turns right in the proper spot. This wave dissipates beneath him. Good cadence right there, just surfing to the same speed.
And this is George, and that's why I felt like this was the best surfed wave. You can see that he's doing deeper bottom turns and getting up in vertical. More critical in this turn here. He's gonna drive through, not this one, I'm sorry, this next turn. He drives through that section, and you can see the body torque on the top, but the wave just dies out, dissipates, and has no closeout. So that exclamation point that we used to see on Crosby's wave didn't apply to this one. So let's see how the judges are gonna react to that. But a lot of great surfing done for George right here. Look at the body torque on that turn. Like basically you cannot see his eyes from this angle here. And just the deep bottom turns, allowing him to get up in vertical. Beautiful layback snap, or just a snap right there, pushing that back foot, extending. I personally feel like this is the best wave surfed we've seen in the heat so far, but just no closeout. So let's see what the judges are going to think about that, but Crosby on a bomb.
Oh, this wave's bigger, potentially better than G.Pittar's last wave, the second wave of the set. Nice and clean on the face. Great combination there, bottom turn, top turn. Done with power, done with speed. Some flair, and a little bit of pizzazz at the end of them. Hammers the section again. So, you know, a near carbon copy to that 6.17 that he just dropped.
And selective on the waves as well. I love this first carve here. As much as he loses a little bit the rail, but he maintained the speed for that second turn that is pretty big. Opens up, and the third one. Out the back with a lot of face in front of him. He makes sure he uses every inch of that wall. And right here, the wave starts to double up, starts to get scary. Because he's kind of down the line, but he finds that only little room that he had to get it vertical. So beautiful surfing here. Very well put wave together like the previous one. Like you mentioned, maybe a little bit less urgency, not pushing as hard, but that wave was tricky. You can see how many ribs going against him right there. This is a perfect angle from the drone for you to identify how tricky it is for guys to engage the rail. And a meaty section to finish it off, which the judges have been loving lately. Has to go lateral on that closeout because of the angle of the board when he was setting up, but still critical.
Give them a haircut of their choice. It's probably going to be bad, and it's the first week of high school.
Straight back to it.
Gnarly. Here we go. G.Pittar from way deep takes the high line. Now setting things up. That's a big slash to start. This wave now fighting against him. Gets a little bit of air beneath his board. Straight from the high line. Puts it up in the lip. Floater there. He could have done on that wave. Look out now. You see Crosby Colapinto. Second wave of the set. A little bit cleaner on the face. Wind still holding these surfers up a little bit. You know, when you have a huge bag of tricks like Crosby Colapinto to pick from normally, you kind of have to eliminate a lot of maneuvers to just keep things under control. As Crosby now sees an inside section, I'm thinking air. So is he. Gets it. More of a nose pick, kind of keeps it Keeps it low.
You could see
but
George
still
Pittar
radical.
actually splashed into water right behind him as soon as he landed that last air. Could even better his situation. We missed the beginning of it, so I guess we'll catch up here.
It's Crosby's cousin who's the teacher, by the way, so her classroom is the one that's watching. Crosby rip right here. What a way to finish.
Yeah, a little bit slower start, like for Crosby right there. Wave didn't get as steep as he would probably hope for. He did as much as he could, and right here, it's where he's going to get more critical. Going to get that tail up and high, putting all on the line for that little last section he had in front of him. Crosby's going to take the W on this one.
And there you have it. It's official. Crosby Colapinto moves through. We do lose G.Pittar, but what a performance by that young rookie.